All right, in section 11.8, we're going to talk about solving problems using quadratic functions so that we can find a maximum or a minimum, or the highest or lowest value. We know that if we have a parabola, a quadratic function, if it opens up, we're going to end up having a minimum value. If it opens down, we're going to end up having a maximum value. And we know that that minimum value, or the maximum value, is really just the vertex of our parabola. So if we're given a problem and we're asked to find the maximum or minimum, the highest or the lowest, if we can find out where that vertex is, then that's going to be our minimum or our maximum value. Let me show you an example. In example number 1, it says the value of a share of ij solar can be represented by this function. V of x equals x squared minus 6x plus 13, where x is the number of months after January 2009. So if we were to say x equals 1, then that would be February 2009, and so on. What is the lowest value of v of x that will reach, and when did that occur? So what is the lowest value, the minimum, and when will that occur, right? And so we've got to figure out what x is, that'll be when it occurs, and then what the lowest value is, we can substitute in whatever we find for x to find the lowest value. Really, what we're finding is the vertex of this parabola. They give us a quadratic function. We know that it's going to open up because our leading coefficient is positive, and we're trying to find the lowest value, right? If we can find that vertex of our parabola, then we have not only the x value, the time that it happens, the months that it happened, but we can also plug that in to figure out what the actual value is of this share. So, how do we find the vertex of a quadratic? Well, a couple different ways. If it's not written in vertex form, then we can either do the process of completing the square, or we can use our vertex formula, where we can find the x by doing negative b over 2 times a. I'm going to do that this time. So I have negative b, which is a negative 6, over 2 times a, which is 1. The two negatives make a positive. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I know that x equals 3. Remember, x was the number of months after January. So if x equals 3, then really I'm talking about April, right? 3 months after January would be February, March, April. So I know that the lowest point is going to happen in April 2009 when x equals 3. That's the one part of the question. The other part of the question was asking us, what is the lowest value? So I want to figure out what v of x equals, or what y equals, right? When x is 3, so in April, what is the lowest value? So if I know that x is 3, I should be able to plug in 3 into my original equation and figure out what the lowest value is in April. If I substitute in a 3 and simplify, I end up getting 4, which means the shares are $4. That's the lowest value they're ever going to reach. That happens in April 2009. So being able to take this quadratic function, find the vertex, will allow us to find the minimum or maximum, in a different case, of a certain value.